You know that sinking feeling at the end of the month when you check your bank account and wonder where did all the money go? You had plans, real ones. You told yourself this month would be different. You'd save something, pay off that bill, maybe finally start that emergency fund. But somehow between the takeouts, the subscriptions you forgot about, the impulsive treat yourself moments, it all just disappeared. And here's the painful truth most people never say out loud. It's not that you don't earn enough. It's that nobody ever taught you what to do with what you earn. You're not bad with money. You've just never had a real system. That ends today. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody in the personal finance world wants to say out loud. Most budgeting advice is designed for people who are already doing okay instead of for beginners. It assumes you have a stable income. It assumes you have no unexpected expenses. It assumes you have the discipline of a monk and the spreadsheet skills of an accountant. And when your budget falls apart, which, by the way, almost every first budget does, the system blames you, not the advice, not the unrealistic template, you. Today, we're not doing that. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to build your very first budget from scratch, but I'm going to do it the honest way, the messy way, the way that actually works for real people living real lives in the real world. And yes, I'll be busting a few myths along the way, because some of what you've heard about budgeting, it's either outdated, oversimplified, or just flat out wrong. So here's what we're covering today. And I want you to stay for all of it because each section builds on the last. Why budgets fail before they even start. And it's not your fault. The only number that actually matters when you're starting out, the perfect budget myth and what to do instead. How to actually track your spending without losing your mind. The 3-bucket system that most beginners sleep on. And finally, what a good enough budget actually looks like in real life. This is going to be real. It might be a little uncomfortable, but if you stick around, you'll leave this video with something most people never have. A budget that fits your life, not someone else's fantasy version of it. Before we start, I want to ask a quick question. Have you ever started a budget and quit within the first 2 weeks? I want to know. Drop your response below right now and keep watching, because I'm about to explain exactly why that happened. Let's begin with why your budgets fail before you even start. Okay, so you've tried budgeting before. Maybe you downloaded an app. Maybe you made a spreadsheet. Maybe you watched a YouTube video, possibly one a lot like this one, and you felt inspired. You felt motivated. You thought, this time, it's different. And then life happened. Your car needed a repair, or your boiler broke, or you had a bad week at work and you spent 60 pounds on things you didn't need. And just like that, the budget was ruined and you gave up. Sound familiar? Here's the thing they don't tell you. That's not a willpower problem. That's a design problem. Most first budgets fail for 3 reasons, and none of them are about discipline. Reason number 1, they're built on average months, not real months. The truth is, there is no such thing as an average month. Every month has something, a birthday, a dentist appointment, a seasonal expense you completely forgot about. There is always something, and budgets that don't account for these will break every time. Reason number 2, they're too restrictive and too fast. There's this common advice that says you should cut every unnecessary expense immediately. Subscriptions, eating out, entertainment, all of it. And look, I get the logic. But psychologically, that's like going from eating whatever you want to eating nothing but boiled chicken and rice overnight. You will crack. The research on behavior change is pretty clear on this. Drastic, sudden restrictions almost always lead to backlash spending. Reason 3. They confuse perfection with progress. A lot of people treat a budget like a test they have to pass. And the moment they fail, the moment they overspend in one category, they scrap the whole thing. But a budget isn't a test. It's a tool. And tools don't care if you use them imperfectly. So before we even build your budget, I want you to drop one belief right now. The idea that a good budget is one you stick to perfectly. A good budget is one you keep coming back to, even after you mess up, especially after you mess up. Okay, now that we've cleared that up, let's talk about the only number that actually matters. But before we do that, if this is already clicking for you, hit that like button. It tells the algorithm this kind of honest money talk is worth sharing. And keep watching, because this next part is where most people get it completely backwards. The only number that actually matters. Everyone starts building a budget by listing their expenses. Rent, food, transport, subscriptions, and so on. And that's not wrong. But it's also not where you should start. The first number you need, the only number that everything else depends on, is your actual take-home income. Not your salary, not your gross pay. Not what the job offer letter said, what lands in your bank account. After tax, after national insurance or social security, after any pension or retirement contributions, after everything. That number? That's your starting point. Most people have no idea what this number actually is. They know their salary, they might even know their hourly rate. But when you ask them exactly how much hits their account each month, blank stare. And that's a massive problem, because you cannot budget with money you don't have. I know that sounds obvious. But you'd be shocked how many people build budgets based on their gross income and then wonder why they're always short at the end of the month. So step one before anything else is this. Look at your last 3 months of bank statements and figure out the average amount that actually came in each month. Why 3 months? Because 1 month is a fluke. 2 months might be an anomaly. 3 months starts to give you a picture. If your income is irregular, if you're freelance, self-employed, or work variable hours, this step is even more critical. In that case, I want you to use your lowest month as your baseline, not the average, the lowest. Because planning around your best month and then having a bad month is a recipe for stress. But planning around your worst month means everything above that is breathing room. Got that number? Good. Now let's talk about the myth that's probably already forming in your head. Seriously, pause for 2 seconds and go find that number. Your actual take-home for the last 3 months, I'll wait, then come back. Because what I'm about to say next is going to flip everything you thought you knew about how budgets are supposed to look. You've probably heard of the 50-30-20 rule, 50% of your income on needs, 30% on wants, 20% on savings. It's clean. It's simple. It's on approximately 4 million Pinterest boards. It's also completely useless for a huge percentage of people. Here's the math problem nobody talks about. In cities like London, Sydney, Toronto, or New York, and other parts of the world where most of you watching this are living in, housing alone can eat 40, 50, even 60% of your take-home pay before you've bought a single thing to eat. So where does that leave the 50-30-20 rule? In the bin. That's where it belongs. The rule isn't bad in concept. The problem is that it's taught as a universal truth when it's actually just a guideline, and a fairly outdated one at that. What actually matters isn't which percentage system you follow. What matters is that your budget answers 3 questions. 1. Am I spending less than I earn? Non-negotiable. This is the foundation. 2. Am I covering my actual needs? Housing, food, utilities, transport, anything health-related. 3. Is there something, even a small something, going toward my future? That's it. That's the whole framework at its core. Now, how you get there, what percentages you use, what categories you track, what app or system you use, that's all personal. There's no universal right answer. Anyone telling you there is one is trying to sell you something. What I'm going to give you instead is a simple structure that works for beginners. It's called the 3-bucket system, and it's deliberately unsophisticated because complicated budgets don't get followed. Here's where the actual practical stuff kicks in. If you've got a notepad, grab it now or screenshot this section, because this is the actual framework you're going to use. Keep watching. The 3-bucket system is simple. You divide all of your spending into 3 categories, 3 buckets, and you give each one a portion of your income. Bucket 1, your fixed essentials. These are the things that cost roughly the same every month, and that you cannot easily cut without major disruption to your life. Rent or mortgage, utilities, phone bill, internet, insurance, minimum debt payments, subscriptions you genuinely rely on. Your transport pass, anything work-related. The key word here is fixed. These are predictable. You know what they are. You can list them right now. Add them all up. That's bucket 1. Bucket 2. Your variable living expenses. This is where most budgets get complicated and where most people lie to themselves a little. Groceries, eating out, fuel, personal care, clothing, entertainment, gifts, all the stuff that changes from month to month. The honest truth about bucket 2 is that this is where most of your financial freedom actually lives. This is where small, consistent adjustments can make a real difference over time, not cutting everything, just being aware. Because most people, when they actually look at this bucket, are surprised by what they find. Here's what I want you to do. For the next 30 days, don't try to change anything. Just track it, write it down, use an app, whatever works for you. Just document every pound or dollar that leaves your hands. At the end of the month, look at the data, not with judgment, just with curiosity, and be like, huh? I spent $400 on takeout? Interesting. That's it. No shame spiral, just information. Because you cannot change what you won't measure. Bucket 3, the future you. This is savings, emergency fund, pension contributions, investments, debt repayment beyond minimums. And I want to be really clear here, if you're just starting out, bucket 3 might be tiny. It might be $20 a month. It might be 50 pounds. And that's okay. Saving something consistently matters more than saving a lot occasionally. $20 a month every month for a year is $240. That's not going to make you rich. But it's also not nothing. And more importantly, it builds the habit. It proves to your brain that you're the kind of person who saves, and that identity shift is worth more than any specific dollar amount in the short term. Now, how do you actually put this system to work? To answer that question, let's begin with building your actual budget, step by step. If you're still watching, don't drop off. This is the part that ties everything together and gives you something you can actually use today. Stay with me. Let's put this together, nice and simple. Step 1, write down your monthly take-home income, the real number, the one that hits your account. If it varies, use the lowest of your last 3 months. Step 2, list every fixed expense in bucket 1. Add them up, subtract that from your income. What's left is what you have to work with for everything else. Step 3, look at last month's bank statement or the last 3 months if you can stomach it, and figure out roughly what you actually spent in bucket 2 categories. Don't guess, look at the data. Step 4, subtract your bucket 2 spending from what was left after bucket 1. Is there anything remaining? Is it positive or negative? If it's positive, great. That gap is what can go toward bucket 3, your future. If it's negative, you're spending more than you're earning. And that's not a character flaw. That's information. And information is power even when it's uncomfortable. Step 5, set your bucket 3 amount. And here's the rule I want you to follow. Make it automatic. Set up a standing order or automatic transfer the day after your pay lands, even if it's a tiny amount. The reason it has to be automatic is because anything left to manual decision-making will eventually lose to something else. Our brains are not wired for delayed gratification. We need systems, not willpower. Step 6. Give your budget a 1-month trial, not a lifetime commitment, not a personality overhaul. Just 1 month, track everything. At the end of the month, review it. What worked? What didn't? Adjust, try again. That review at the end of the month, that's the most important habit you can build. Not the perfect spreadsheet, not the fancy app, the 10-minute monthly review where you sit down, look at the numbers and ask, what do I want to do differently next month? That's it. That's the whole system. But here are some uncomfortable truths you will have to face. Just 5 in numbers. They include the things I wish someone had told me before I wasted years chasing the perfect budget. Do not skip this part. Uncomfortable truth number 1. No budget survives contact with real life unchanged. Every budget will need to be adjusted. That's not failure. That's the process. Uncomfortable truth number 2. The best budgeting app is the one you'll actually open. I don't care if it's the most sophisticated platform on the market. If you hate using it, you won't use it. Some people do great with spreadsheets. Some people do better with pen and paper. Find your thing. Uncomfortable truth number 3. Budgeting will not fix a low income. I want to be honest about this, because it's something a lot of personal finance content glosses over. If your income genuinely doesn't cover your basic needs, no amount of tracking or cutting will solve that. You also need to be thinking about the income side of the equation, whether that's a raise, a career change, a side income, benefits you're entitled to, or something else entirely. Budgeting is a tool for allocating money. It's not a magic solution for not having enough of it. Uncomfortable truth number 4. An emergency fund is not optional. I know everyone says this, but I'm going to say it again because it's that important. The single biggest reason budgets collapse is unexpected expenses. Your car breaks down, your boiler goes, you lose your job without any buffer, even a small one. These events become financial emergencies that blow up every plan you made. Start building your emergency fund before you think about investing in anything. Even £500 or $500 makes a massive difference to your stability. Uncomfortable truth number 5. Budgeting is boring, and that's actually the point. The goal isn't to make managing money exciting. The goal is to make it predictable enough that it fades into the background of your life, so you can focus on the things that actually matter to you. The hustle culture myth is that financial freedom comes from obsessing over money every day. The real truth is almost the opposite. A good budget runs so quietly in the background that you barely notice it, and that's how you know it's working. To wrap this up, we need to ask what a good enough budget actually looks like. Before we wrap up, subscribe if you haven't already. Every week on this channel, we do personal finance content that doesn't talk to you like you're stupid or like you just need to want it more. Real stuff for real people. Hit subscribe, and you won't miss it. So, let's land this plane. What does a good enough first budget actually look like? First, it looks like a piece of paper or a notes app with your income at the top, your fixed expenses listed underneath, a rough estimate of what you spend on variable living, and a number, however small, set aside for your future. It doesn't look like a color-coded spreadsheet with 47 categories. It doesn't look like the budget of someone who earns 3 times what you earn. It doesn't look perfect. It looks honest, and honestly, that's the hardest part. Not the math, the honesty. Sitting down with your actual numbers, not the numbers you wish you had, and working with what's really there. If you do that, if you take what we talked about today and spend even 30 minutes this week putting your numbers on paper, you will already be ahead of the majority of people who talk about wanting to get their finances sorted but never actually start. Because starting, even imperfectly, is the only move that matters. Here's your homework. Do this week. Not someday, this week. 1. Find your actual take-home income for the last 3 months. 2. List your fixed expenses. 3. Look at last month's bank statement and see what you actually spent. 4. Set up even a tiny automatic transfer to a savings account. That's it. That's your first budget. If this video was useful, and I mean actually useful, not just motivationally nice, The best thing you can do is share it with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who's been told to just cut the lattes one too many times and has given up on budgeting as a result. Drop a comment below telling me, what's the one thing in this video that surprised you the most? I actually read every single comment. I genuinely want to know. And if you want more content like this, honest, no fluff, built for real people, personal finance, make sure you're subscribed, because next week we're talking about emergency funds, how much you actually need, where to keep it, and why the standard advice of 3 to 6 months of expenses is more complicated than it sounds. That one's going to be a good one. I'll see you there.